Chase can just cruise the victory lane.
Crowd roars. They're going to see for the first time Chase Elliott win in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
We may not afford it, but look, he's there. What a great corner.
Here comes Jimmy Johnson.
Oh.
Locks the brakes up.
Oh, he's
and he's going to slide. He slides through the middle. Truex gets tagged. Now it'll be a fight for the finish line. Ryan Blaney in the 12 will win.
Clear by 3 feet. All clear. Good to go.
This is an incredible drive by Joey Logano, regardless of the result.
He'll see the white flag one more time around. Martin Truex Jr. on the inside, looking for his first short track win, as well as a trip to Miami to try to defend his championship. The 2017 champion, will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside, a drag race. They're sideways, and it's going to be Logano getting the win. Here comes Harvick. Final lap. Coming to the checkered flag. Blaney does it.
Gonna make that 3-wide move himself.
Oh, contact that and then get through that.
More contact. We're seeing a little bit of tire smoke out of 37 of Buscher.
There's still 3 wide. This won't last long.
Those tires on the 11 are helping him hold that top position. And look at this squeeze down the front stretch.
Kurt Busch still holding on the top spot. Around goes the 18.
They got the left front on the wall. Yellow, 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 yellow.
Casey Kane had been scored a lap down in the 17th position. Probably will get the free pass.
That man's having a bit of a night, I'd say.
Well, look at the banking too. He can't go anywhere because he doesn't have any rubber on the wheels. The tires have come off.
Hear the crowd cheer. Look at what's the situation here, Steve? If he can't move that car, is that pretty much taking him out of the event? Such a polarizing figure. The place goes electric. He moves the needle. Up, down, good, bad, in and out. What Kyle Busch does on the racetrack definitely excites the fans.
Kurt Busch right up in front of the 42. Now he moves out of the way. Nobody in between the 18 and 42.
Another opportunity for Larson to get a huge run.
And there's the gap between 1 and 2. And here comes Larson. Larson to the bottom of the track.
Slide job.
Trying to take the lead away.
Slide job. Almost.
The momentum. The 18. They make contact. The 18 into the wall. They're side by side again. Going into 3 for the lead. Larson has the advantage. Here comes the 18. He puts the bumper to the back of him. The 18 into the wall. The 42 sideways.
Where's Harvick?
Here comes the 18. Kyle Busch will win.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
If ever I'm asked to describe my feelings for the 2018 NASCAR season, that 3-minute video or this picture right here would basically sum it up in a shorter way. Watkins Glen, the Roval, Martinsville, Bristol, and Chicagoland. They all have a few things in common. And for that, we go deeper. So earlier today, Jeff Gluck, as I've mentioned it so many times, he does his "Was it a good race" poll. Martinsville got scored 90% yes, 10% no, making it tied around 9th or 10th on the all-time list. The list dates back to the 2016 Atlanta race, the second race of the 2016 season. So it has a pretty good amount of race. I think it has over 100 at this point. But that's past the fact. The big thing is it's one of 10, one of the top 10. When you look at the top 10, and he referenced this, 5 of the top 10, half of the top 10 races in that poll have come from this season alone. Another bigger stat, 5 of those races have come from this season alone since July. 5 races are in the top 10, and all 5 have come during NBC's portion of the season. Chicagoland kicked it off, went to Watkins Glen, went to Bristol, went to the Roval, went to Martinsville. Those 5 races are some of the best in the last 3 years. They've all been on NBC. And not only are they top 5 on that list, they're also top 5 on my list in a different order. The best one on that list is the Bristol Night Race. Watkins Glen is second. I think the Roval's third, and I think it goes Chicagoland and then Martinsville. Now, my list is a little different. However, both are in the top 5, so obviously I mean, it deserves to be top 5 on any list someone does. My list has the Roval at number 5, or no, I'm sorry, Watkins Glen at number 5, the Roval at number 4, Martinsville at number 3, Bristol Night Race at number 2, and Chicagoland at number 1. That being said, any one of these 5, you can make a case for being the best race of the season. So when someone asks me, how did you feel about the 2018 NASCAR season? Instead of replying with Big 3 dominated, it was boring, or 3 drivers won 3 in a row, or something like that, bad point system, it will be Watkins Glen, the Roval, Martinsville, the Bristol Night Race, and the Chicagoland race. Because all 5 of them, top 10 on an all-time list dating back to 2016. There are some races from last season and 2016 that, you know, that across those 2 seasons, 5 of them make up the top 10. Across 1 season, 5 races inside the top 10. Just shows that this season started out really, really slow. You know, we had Atlanta, Vegas, you know, some really bad races, Fontana. We had, you know, Kentucky, stuff like that. But it has improved greatly. And even in the first half of the season, there were still some good races. It was just they were kind of overshadowed by the more bad races. You know, we had the first Bristol race, we had the first Richmond race, we had the first Kansas race. They're all fantastic races. The 500. Phoenix was a pretty good race, you know, but they were kind of overshadowed by the bad races, which were kind of, you know, domination. There wasn't really many people battling for wins. Now in the second half of the season, it's more a bad race happens and you wonder what happened. You know, Talladega goes happens, you're like, man, what happened? Dover happens, you're like, man, what happened? Because we've had so many good races this season. And these are only 5 of them. You know, the Brickyard was excellent. We had Loudon, which was excellent. The second Vegas race was excellent. I mean, those are only a few. You know, Darlington was pretty good. The second Kansas race was pretty good. The second... So, I mean, like, this season has really picked up the second half of the season, in part thanks to NBC probably, and mostly the drivers have and the teams have really found their way back up to compete with the 3 drivers that were dominating, and now it's become a contest. It's made the season superb, and that's just something I wanted to share because it's kind of, you know, I've said it, but I don't think I've ever really showed how much I really love. This could be one of my, if not my favorite season of watching NASCAR. Now, part of that might have to do with my favorite drivers up in the booth and retired and isn't racing anymore, but part of it could be with the racing as well. Because if you think about it, right, say it's 2014, Dale Jr. wins 4 races. That season has been told as the best Gen 6 season of all time. Now, for me personally, I'll remember those 4 wins, but I'll also remember that round of 12. And that round of 12 sours the season, in my opinion. 2015, you could look at it and be like, you know, it was an alright season. 3 wins, you know, so many top 5, so many top 10s, but that round of 12 sours that season. I don't want to remember that season. That season I kind of want to kick out of my brain. So if you're like, if you have a driver that you root for that's never won a championship and he retires and he's never won a championship, then maybe, you know, that there's not really a season you can relate to where you're like, oh man, you know, close I can get to that is 2014. We're like, he won 4 races. I went to one of those races. He was competitive, top 10, top 5, like every week. And then if your driver won a championship, maybe like, yeah, best season ever. If you're a Harvick fan, 2014. If you're a Truex fan, 2017. So, I mean, there's stuff like that. And for me, there's been no pressure. I get to watch the races. I get to just sit, you know, relax, watch the race without having to be like, oh, points, win. I need, you know, win, you're in. You have to get enough points to get through into the chase, I could just be like, oh, look at that. Look what's happening. Instead of getting frustrated over something and maybe not looking at the race for how good it was. There were some races, you know, when Junior was racing, when I was kind of like, oh, this race sucks. And I didn't really pay attention to the race anymore if Junior was having a bad day or if he crashed or something like that. But now I don't really have to worry about that. Now I can look at it like, oh man, these races have been great this season. 5 of these in particular. But I mean, once again, it kind of shows. Also, this shows right here. We have a road course, short track, and an occasional 1.5 mile. Now, inside that top 10, I think Jeff Gluck said there were like, well, I actually count this. There were 4 short tracks, 3 road courses, 1 1.5 mile, 1 2 mile, and 1 1 mile track. So 7 of the 10 top 10 races since 2016 have been held at a short track or a road course. If that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. Because, We still have, you know, a schedule that's dominated by 1.5 mile, 2 mile tracks. They barely put on a show. The best 2 mile track we have out there is Auto Club. You know, the best 1.5 mile is probably Homestead at this point. And they dominate the schedule. It's not really a great type of race. Now, obviously, there are some outliers. We saw with Chicagoland in the second Vegas race this season that 1.5 mile track could put on a good show, even with this package, depending on circumstances. If it's hot, if it's slick, if the surface is worn enough, if stuff like that. But overall, 1.5 mile tracks, they're pretty bad. Overall, you get a bad short track race or a bad road course race, but still miles better than 1.5 mile race. So that's just what I wanted to say. Hope we get more road courses, more short tracks when that schedule change comes, whenever it is, 2020, 2021, something like that. But just think about that. You know, those 5 races that I showed, and the 5 races that I talked about, Watkins Glen, Roval, Martinsville, Bristol, and Chicagoland, they're probably, if not top 5, they're definitely top 10 on a list. So I mean, in the comments, say what you've thought about 2018. Have you hated it because of the domination? Have you liked it because of when the good races are good, they're excellent? You know, in my mind, these 5 races up here, I don't think I could score any less. If it's a test, I can't score any less than like a 95 out of 100 or a 96 out of 100. Literally, I think Bristol and Chicago both get 100. Martinsville is probably like a 99 or 98. The Roval is probably like a 98 or 97, and Watkins Glen is probably like a 97 or a 96. I mean, I probably can't go any lower than 96 for any of these races. They're just so good. So, you know, that's how I feel. If you feel any differently, comment below. If you feel the same, comment below. If you want to list your top 5 races of the season, or if you want to list every race and how you feel about it, you know, do that as well. Because, you know, this is something that I think it's good for, you know, people to kind of express their feelings about a season and whatnot, even if you hate it. You know, that's the same thing with the package. It's controversial, sure, but I mean, it's kind of you know, it's kind of like, oh, you know, people get to state their opinions about it. That's kind of the same thing with, hey, at, you know, Chicagoland, at, you know, Martinsville, we had the controversy Kyle Busch spinning Larson. We had the controversy Logano bumping Truex. You know, that's kind of made the fans share their opinions, and that's good for NASCAR. The more talk you get about NASCAR, the better it's going to be. So the one problem, though, was that it wasn't on NBC, Martinsville wasn't. You know, some of these races, Watkins Glen was on NBC, the Roval was on NBC. I don't remember, was the night race on NBC? I don't think it was, probably. You know, but, I mean, if these 5 races, if all of them were on NBC, the people who tuned in got a great show, and they probably would have tuned in the next week. Because that's just how great those 5 were. If only we had them on, you know, network television. That'd be excellent. So I thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys for the next video. 2018, let's end on a high note. Let's get a 6th race in that top 10. Let's, you know, let's get like Homestead up there. Maybe Homestead will be great. I'm not really thinking about Texas. Phoenix could be good too.